There's a 2,000 square kilometer piece of land in northern Africa that's bigger than Singapore, Bahrain, Monaco, and Malta all put together. If it was an independent country, then this piece of land, known as Bir Tawil, would rank higher than as many as 27 countries in terms of landmass. Now, even though it is mostly empty, this piece of land is fully habitable, which means humans could live there and build a civilization there. But there's just one problem. No country in the world wants to claim this piece of land. Or more accurately, neither Egypt nor Sudan, the two countries closest to this piece of land, have any interest in claiming it. So what we're left with is an incredibly unique situation where a piece of land that's bigger than 27 other countries in the world and is fully habitable is currently left totally unclaimed. Now, of course, there's an obvious question here. Why does no country want to claim Bir Tawil? And the answer to that goes all the way back to the late 19th century when the British were in control of Egypt and Sudan and decided what the borders separating both countries would be. So first, in January of 1899, the United Kingdom created a straight line border between Egypt and Sudan, which placed Bir Tawil outside of Egypt's control and within Sudan. But then, just 3 years later, in November of 1902, the British essentially decided to redraw the border between both countries, changing it from the straight line border that it was to a, well, not so straight line. And in this new border, it meant that the control of Bir Tawil had been reversed, putting it in Egypt and outside of Sudan's control. So the changed borders between 1899 and 1902 means that at different points in time, Bir Tawil has been placed under the control of Egypt and Sudan. But there's also another piece of land that's important here, which has been common to both countries due to the change in borders. And that is this part, officially known as the Halaib Triangle. With a coastline, resource-rich shores, and direct access to the Red Sea, the Halaib Triangle is very attractive to own and control. And here's the thing, both Egypt and Sudan are claiming control of this territory based on their own preferred borders. Now, each of the border decisions that had been drawn up by the British in 1899 and 1902 had placed the Halaib Triangle within one country while placing Bir Tawil in the other. And so with both countries claiming the Halaib Triangle, the bottom line is if Egypt or Sudan were to claim Bir Tawil, that would mean letting go of their claim of the Halaib Triangle. So essentially, this is a border dispute of epic proportions going back over 100 years and resulting in a piece of land that's perfectly fine for humans, but is unwanted by the two countries closest to it. This means Bir Tawil is one of the only places on Earth that is habitable, but yet unclaimed by any recognized country or government. Now, of course, there are several parts of the world that are also unclaimed by any country or government, including parts of Antarctica and most parts of the ocean. But the difference, though, is that these parts are not habitable, unlike Bir Tawil. But the fact that neither Egypt nor Sudan or even a third country is claiming Bir Tawil does not mean that there haven't been attempts to claim it. In 2014, an American named Jeremiah Heaton traveled all the way to Bir Tawil in an attempt to claim the land. He successfully landed in Bir Tawil, he planted his flag there to claim the territory as his own, and then renamed it the Kingdom of North Sudan. Now, while the attempt by itself is interesting, the reason for the attempt is even more interesting. Jeremiah claimed the land so that his then 7-year-old daughter would be a real-life princess. His attempt at claiming the land got a lot of press coverage, including a live interview on CNN. And the story got so big that Disney reportedly acquired rights to make a film about this so-called adventure where a father tried to make his daughter a real-life princess. Now, even though most people didn't exactly recognize the claim, Heaton went as far as launching a fundraising campaign to develop Bir Tawil and make it the first crowd-funded country in the world. Now, people who made donations could have knighthoods and naming rights to airports in the soon-to-be-created country. But as anyone would expect, despite all of this press coverage, Heaton's claim to Bir Tawil was struck down by the United Nations. Now, aside Heaton, there have been other attempts as well by individuals to claim Bir Tawil by planting flags there and declaring themselves as rulers of the kingdom, with some going as far as holding coronation ceremonies. But in reality, none of these attempts can be successful, because for starters, any claims to the land will have to receive legal recognition from the United Nations and also from both Egypt and Sudan. Today, while neither country claims Bir Tawil because they won the Halaib Triangle instead, Egypt is in effective control of the Highlight Triangle, even though the population there is more closely aligned with Sudan and participated in Sudanese elections until the 1980s. As for Bir Tawil, it remains empty, without any permanent settlements, even though a couple of tribes often pass through the region transporting goods and setting up temporary camps. So ultimately, you can think of Bir Tawil as a part of Africa that belongs to no country, or as a part of Africa that belongs to two countries, even though neither of them wants it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, then please give the video a thumbs up, as that really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe as well. And before you go, make sure you check out this playlist of all the cool geography videos I've made on the channel. See you in the next one.